Welcome to Chapter 5, Organizing and Delegating Work. Organizing is the second function of management, defined as the process of delegating and coordinating tasks and resources to achieve objectives. Managers organize four resources: human, physical, financial, and informational. An organization chart lays out the organization's management hierarchy and departments as well as their working relationships. It shows the level of management hierarchy, chain of command, division and type of work, and departments. U.S. Lacrosse is the national governing body of lacrosse that is tasked with the goal of developing the sport in the United States. The span of management, also called the span of control, has to do with how many employees report directly to a manager. Typically, lower-level managers have a wider span of control, meaning they monitor more employees than do higher-level managers. Flat organizations have fewer layers of management with wide spans of control. U.S. Lacrosse, as indicated in the previous slide, is primarily a flat structure with all departments reporting to the U.S. Lacrosse Board of Directors. Tall organizations have many layers of management with narrow spans of control. Division of labor refers to jobs organized by specialty. Coordination is about departments and individuals in an organization working together to accomplish strategic and operational objectives for its environment. As the chart indicated, there are a number of departments within U.S. Lacrosse, all with different responsibilities, from finance to strategic planning to sports science and safety. Based on that chart, it appears as though U.S. Lacrosse uses functional departmentalization in which they are organized by the function of each department. Managers have both authority and responsibilities they need to fulfill. Authority is the right to make decisions, issue orders, and use resources. There are two types of authority. Formal authority is gained from roles and job titles within the organization. In comparison, informal authority is obtained by creating a network of relationships. Essentially, those are leaders without titles. In comparison, responsibility is one's obligation to achieve objectives by performing required activities. In addition to the two types of authority, there are several levels of authority. Informing authority is when an employee tells their leader or manager of possible alternatives to pursue. Second, recommending authority is when an employee generates alternatives, analyzes them, and then again recommends action. Reporting authority refers to selecting a course of action and carrying it out without manager's approval, but you need to tell the manager what you're doing. And then finally, full authority is when an employee is an expert on a topic area and their manager may defer to them on that particular topic. There are additional ways to think about authority from Appello that complement the information in the chapter. The first is when you tell the team. So you make a decision as a manager. You don't ask for input. You just tell them this is what you've done. The second, when it doesn't go so well or they may not agree with it, you have to sell it. So you've got to convince people that you made a good decision. The third is when you consult. This is when you actually gather input from the team before you make the decision. So you give them a little bit of ownership in it. The next one, agree, is when you work with a team and you make a decision together. Advise refers to the idea that the team is asking you for some input, so you're influencing their decision. Inquire is when the team makes the decision and then they ask for feedback after they make the decision, so they're asking you for some guidance. And then delegate is when the manager doesn't influence the team at all. They let the team work out the task on its own. So in their quest to grow the game of lacrosse in the United States, U.S. Lacrosse has different initiatives to get youth athletes involved. I included a video that is a sample of one of these initiatives. I would imagine the board of directors use tactics like consulting and inquiring with the different departments when determining which initiatives to pursue. Line authority is the responsibility to make decisions and issue orders down the chain of command. Operations and marketing are usually line departments, but some organizations also organize financial activities as line departments. In comparison, staff authority is the responsibility to advise and assist other personnel. Human resources, public relations, and management information systems are almost always staff departments. So when you're going to hire someone, most often the men's and women's game committees, for example, of U.S. Lacrosse, probably consults with their HR department prior to hiring someone, so to make sure that they follow all the equal opportunity employment guidelines, so that they don't get sued in some instances. With centralized authority, important decisions are made by top managers. With decentralized authority, important decisions are made by middle and first level managers. US Lacrosse, for example, relies on a decentralized model that uses largely volunteer coaches and administrators. Which type of authority works best, you ask? Well, there's no simple answer. Authority is a continuum, and most organizations function as a blend of centralized and decentralized authority. Job design is an important component of organizing and delegating work. Job design refers to the process of combining the tasks that each employee is responsible for completing. There are a number of different ways in which to do this. First, job simplification makes jobs more specialized and efficient by eliminating, combining, or changing the order of tasks. Job expansion refers to making jobs less specialized, and this can be through job rotation, job enlargement, and job enrichment. Job rotation means performing different jobs for a period of time, so you're not just doing one job, you rotate through several others. Job enlargement is adding more tasks to provide variety for the employee, and job enrichment means redesigning a job to make it more fulfilling for the employee, hence job rotation or job enlargement. The job characteristics model addresses core job dimensions, critical psychological states, and employees' growth needs strength in order to improve the quality of working life for employees and productivity for the organization. The 5 core dimensions, skill variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback, determine a job's personal outcomes, aka the quality of working life for employees, as well as the work outcomes, the productivity for the organization. By enhancing each dimension, you can increase both outcomes, meaning that the employees will be satisfied and thus they'll be productive. Critical psychological states has 3 parts. How much the employee feels the work is meaningful to them. Second, how much the employee feels responsible for what they produce. And third, how much the employee gains information about the results of their work. So do they know what their work is used for and why it's important? Finally, employees' growth needs strength determines interest in improving core dimensions. Lack of interest in a job may lead to failure. In order to reduce turnover or place employees in positions to be successful, US Lacrosse may want to use this model so that they can use the feedback continually to improve the experiences of their employees. So motivated employees are often fairly productive employees. In order to be a good manager, you need to know how to determine which is the most important thing you need to accomplish and what tasks you can give to an employee. When setting priorities, you want to ask yourself 3 questions. Do I need to be personally involved? Is the task my responsibility, or will it affect the performance or finances of my department? And is quick action needed? So do I need to work on it right now, or can I wait? If you can answer these 3 questions, you'll be able to figure out which are the most important things you need to accomplish and which you can delegate. Delegation involves assigning responsibility and authority for accomplishing objectives. So there are a number of different things that are low stakes that you can delegate to employees. Paperwork, routine tasks, technical issues, maybe some problem solving to get them motivated and invested in their job. Tasks related to professional development so that they can learn more, gain some additional skills. There are several things you may not want to delegate. Personnel matters, so things like performance appraisal, counseling of employees, discipline, firing them when you have to resolve conflicts. Those are often confidential activities, and you don't want other employees to learn of this confidential information. Your job as a manager is to put out fires, so delegating crises is probably not in your best interest. And then finally, activities assigned to you by your boss. They gave you the job for a reason. They want you to accomplish it. It's probably in your best interest to do that and not have somebody else do it if they assigned you that task specifically. If you do choose to delegate, you should follow the delegation model. There are several steps. The first step is explain why you're delegating the task and the reasons you chose this person to do the work. That way it's clear to them why you chose them, may make them feel a little bit better about themselves, and ideally motivating them to accomplish it. The second, you want to clearly define the responsibility, the person's scope of authority, and the deadline. So you're going to set some objectives for them define how much responsibility they have, what they can and cannot do, etc. Third, plan the task. And finally, establish control checkpoints and hold employees accountable. Much like any of the other models we've talked about, it's important to make sure that they are reaching these checkpoints and ideally getting to that final goal. Finally, there are a number of different ways to organize a business in order to achieve the goals and objectives of the organization. Businesses must choose an appropriate structure, determine the most important tasks to accomplish, and provide employees with jobs and tasks that continually challenge them.